hello, my people, hello, my loves, and hello, my darlings. Welcome to the Divine Life Blueprint podcast with Deusa Siv. And this is our first episode. So excited, also nerve-wracking, but also something that I want it to be as natural as it can be. I want this to be my safe corner where I can just be myself, and allow you guys to get to connect with who Stevie is. Of which, by the way, that's the purpose of our first episode. It's for you to get to know me, to get to know my childhood, how it shapes me, to let you into the relationship that I have with God and my healing. And I want you guys to come out of this one empowered and inspired to live in your divine purpose. If you don't know your purpose yet, then we have a long way to go. We have a full season to uncover that with you. And I hope the tools and the conversation that I'll be having with you will help you to sort of have some blueprint into finding your own divine life people, right? Okay, so Siviwe, who Siviwe is? Siviwe is a small town girl. She's a small town girl from a small family, very tight-knit family. And I say that my family is tight-knit most of the time because I've seen your guys' families. You guys have extended families like for days. And my family just starts with my grandfather and my grandmother, and then it's my aunt, uncles, cousins, and sisters. And the my primary parents have been my grandparents. I lost my mom when I was just starting grade four. Just starting grade four, that's when I lost my mom. And that's where I think a lot of my story began, right? Because that was something that was held with so much sensitivity from my family side. It's like, first of all, you know me, I'm the person that like, I cry. I cry a lot. Okay, for those that have known me for a long time, who have been on my Instagram, I am a very vulnerable person. Like I'm a crier. That's how my body communicates my emotion. So, with having a child who's like 8 or 9 year old, and you know this person, if you just raise your voice, they cry. How are you gonna break down the news of them losing their mom? And what does that mean that this person has passed away? So it was something that was not really talked about. And even after the funeral and all that, it's like they didn't talk much about my mom. And in an essence, that prolonged my grieving because I think the time that I got to really, really accept that my mom is really gone was when I was in varsity through therapy, and it was hard. It was hard. So imagine, like, I think that must have been like more than 10 years later that my mom has passed away. And I am bringing that up because it also played some effect on how I became a people pleaser kind of person and how I sort of kept a lot of my emotions to myself and very timid child growing up. So until I got to a space whereby like I had to heal that part of myself, that's when I got to know who Sive is, what are my aspirations in life and all that. And yeah, now I can talk about her for hours and hours. For hours and hours without breaking down. And then my dad passed away when I was doing my last year. Oh man, I was doing my last year. You can say he was a deadbeat, but I would agree to disagree on that one because he gave me everything a child needs when it comes to an emotional support from a parent. My dad loved me. Anyone can come and like just uh say I'm wrong and whatever, but yo, that man loved me. And he sort of like gave me that fundamental love that a child needs from a father figure. And my grandfather as well. He was a very loving man. So that part of my life, I feel like it also played an effect on how I receive love as well, because my dad had nothing to give, but the love he gave me was like enough. It was enough. It sustained me and it carried me through my childhood as well. Yeah, I have so many stories about that man, but ah, another day, another day. And then, yeah, I would say the healing, right? That's where my healing starts. It starts from losing my mom. It starts from losing my dad. And the period where I grew up, that space I grew up with without grieving my mom was sort of exposed me into taking other people's identities because I didn't know myself, right? And I got into a very, very, very serious relationship without knowing myself. So that alone is a hint of a recipe for disaster, right? So which is something that added on the scars that like as a person you just have to heal from for you to get to a point whereby you are living a life of contentment. Okay. And then yeah, I think I just summarized on that so quickly, and it just sort of like giving you an idea of like what I mean when I say my healing journey. It's healing from my first traumatic experience of losing my mom to all the experiences that I had of living at a space of being an unhealed person, being an unhealed teenager, unhealed young adult. So what you can literally take from that is that there were so many decisions that I made, so many choices that I made that were coming from an unhealed place. And that brings in more trauma, that brings in more scars. So that's why I advocate for healing, whatever it is that one may be needing to heal from. We all, I think, we all have something to heal from. And where and when did my healing start? Right? Okay, first let me check the questions that I had when it comes to my childhood. I did get some few questions. So the first one that I got was, how was your first day in school, if you can remember? Okay, so these questions are asked from my Instagram page for people to ask me as a Q&A on getting to know me. So this was, how was your first day in school, if you can remember? So I think this one fits very well on this part of the segment. So I remember that day very well. I don't want to lie. I remember that day very well. My mom took me to school for my first day. So it's one of the memories that I can never forget. And the impact of that single day was so fundamental in all of my schooling years, primary and high school, because that's the day my mom was like, "Oh, by the way, that's your sister playing there." Yeah. This yellow brown kid with red hair, so all over the place. That's my sister from my father's side. So that's how I was introduced to my sister. And she was just playing them and with other kids. And I was like, my sister. And then she was like, yeah, that's your sister. So the way that she just like said it, it was like Okay, don't ask any more questions. Right. So that was my first day. And from there, we didn't have a relationship with my sister, but I think she also knew that I'm her sister because throughout those years, from the first day of school to grade 4, I would say, she was this person that was like making sure that nothing or no one comes by my way because those were the years when bullying was like just a lot in schools and all that. And I am this reserved person. So she just made sure, man. No nonsense. She just made sure. And our relationship, it also started organically as well. Like it was very natural. We were in same circles of friends, and those circles, they were like, okay, these are sisters. It's like, yeah, we became close like that. And then throughout primary, high school, and we're still very close. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for asking that. All right, so let's move on to the next part, which was the relationship that I have with God, right? Where it started and all that. So I come from a family as well that is a Christian home. My grandfather was a preacher, very liberated man, very liberated family as well. I would put it that way. I come from a family that doesn't conform, right? So as much as he was a preacher and loved God so much, he was also a traditional healer. So it was like some sort of a clash, I would say, for other people. But the way that he was handsome being a liberated man, he didn't force anything or what to believe on any of us. But there's one thing that my grandparents made sure you all go to church on Sunday. Mm. Stevie, we didn't want church, guys, because you have to sing, you have to clap your hands, you have to run, and yeah, I have a traditional Zion background when it comes to church, so yeah, I was not friends, I was not friends, and but I loved how they didn't force they didn't force us to have like a relationship with like to be just like those religious Christian people. No, they just like wanted you to understand that there's God and everything. So I grew up knowing that like there's God and I believe in God and I pray. Oh, I pray. I prayed like through primary and high school, shame. That always has been my gift, right? So, with growing up, okay, like it was not something that I took serious or was intentional about it. Not at all. And this gels very well with the story that I put you through when it comes to me growing up, the traumas that I had, right? And then to being the adult that I got to be and just praying here and there, kept it at that. And then the one time that I felt God was confirmed to me was I think I was in grade 10, if not grade 11, and I was starting to go to church every Sunday, carrying the Bible, dressed like, decent and all. And at school, we had this pastor that visited us. I think it was Pastor David or Pastor John or something like that. But he said to me, like, God doesn't want you to validate yourself with how people see you. He already knows you. You don't have to be carrying Bible and dress like to show people that like you believe in him. I am in high school. And I'm like, what? How did you know that? And I just like, okay, cool, fine. I hear you. I hear you. And that was it. And yeah, fast forward, I lived in the life of being distant to God, not having a relationship with Him, but playing here and there until it got to a time whereby with everything that I've been through, I was like, I am just tired. I'm just tired of trying to carry all this weight by myself. I am just like at the point whereby I know like it can only be you, God, who can help me here because I've done therapy, I've done gym, I've done mental health, all of those things that will treat your symptoms but do not get to the root. I've done all of them. And I was like, I am just like at this point in my life, just tired of feeling empty, just tired of not having a direction, of not knowing where I'm at, where I'm going, and all of that. I was just tired. And there was a time whereby I was just living a lifestyle of like drinking every weekend. It was fun, right? But I was miserable. I can put it that way. So a lot of people saw me that like, yo, I'm living the life or whatsoever. But like when I look back, I was like, I was my most miserable self. How? What do you mean? Right? But yeah, until that day where I was just weeping, I was just crying nonstop. I was like pleading and asking God, like, just do what you have to do at this point. Like, I am tired. I can't take this anymore. I can't. So I heard a voice, but at the time I didn't know that was God's voice, right? I heard a voice, but at the time I didn't know that God voice. So it was like you have to be sober-minded and seek me, right? And then I knew seeking God is like reading your Bible. So which is the first thing that I did was to look for my Bible. I'm trying to find my Bible, guys. Hey, so I traced my Bible from all the books that I have back home. I have bags of books back home. I traced my Bible from all the books that I had in my place because I moved from Joburg a year ago before that time, right? So I had some books with me as well, but like my Bible was not there. And I tried to trace like when was the last time I had my Bible? Imagine that. When was the last time I had my Bible? And I'm like, I want that Bible, I want that Bible. And I was not finding it anyway. I was not finding it anyway until I got to a point whereby I was like, okay, cool. I'm gonna buy a new one. I'm gonna buy a new one. And then the week after that, I was supposed to pick up the boys in PE. So the boys they stay in PE and they stay in Cancer. So I go to PE and then Tebuko, which is my firstborn, he like just comes in with his bag. They have like a small carry bag. He comes in with his bag. Sorry for that. Tebuko comes in with his bag and he just sweeps up my Bible. And he says, Mama, here's your book. Your I still get goosebumps of that. I'm like, what? I'm like, yeah, here's your book. I'm like, yes, yes, that's my book. How do you know that's my book? Like, how do you know that's my book? And then he was like, no, Mama, like we're playing in my old toys, in my old box of toys. And then I saw this book and I was like, this is Mama's book. This is Mama's book. There's no way. So I hid it. And then when we're leaving, I put it in my bag. And yeah, here's your book. Oh, I cried. I don't want to lie. And I love that it didn't happen with just me and the boys. It was in the presence of someone else. Like for someone to actually see that testament as well, right? Like it was not like something that like I made up. Sometimes God like will just show himself and you'll feel like no man, that's just me. That's just me. And the person that I was with, I was like, dude, I just told you that I have to buy a Bible because I've been. And it's like, yeah, yeah, So that was, I guess, a third confirmation for me to be like, God is always near. He's always near me. And there's one thing that he wants more than anything from me is to seek him above everything else. So that's where my relationship with God, like, sort of like cemented, where it's that where I like got intentional about it and like seeking him, and he healed my heart to wholeness. I don't want to lie. Like everything that I've done, I've always been a growth mindset person. I've had some communities that I have started before on social media about growth mindsets, about planning, about vision boards and all of that stuff. Like that's always been me. But now it has a shift on it because it has gotten it, and everything just makes sense. It flows from a place that I can't even explain it myself. So yeah, that's the relationship. That's where the relationship with God started, and I am still yet to know Him well, but I am very, very, very touched with the love that I experienced from Him so far, and I can't wait to continue to grow on it, to continue to build on it, and seek Him above everything else. So what? I will like I'm done telling my side of the story. So I will go to the questions now again and see what I can find that relates to what I just shared with you right now. So the question that I got is, what motivated you to change your life and build your relationship with God? It was being at a place of my most brokenness that motivated me, or that's like that's where God interrupted my life. Yeah, God interrupted my life so that He can introduce Himself to me. That's how I tell the tale. Like everything in my life now I would say from someone who's outside of it, there was like everything has been good for you and all that, but the inside, the heart posture, it was not in a good place. And God sees all that, right? So He had to interrupt and introduce Himself to me. And that's the best gift that I would say I've ever received from Him. And then the last one is, at what moment in your life did you meet God? We can say when I was in high school, when I was in high school, or we can say when I was like I said, in my like most broken place that I've ever been in my life. I can put it that way. There is a question I missed on the childhood. What's your best childhood memory? I think it's my sister, my dad, and I. That's the best memory that I have of my childhood. My dad had a lemon tree, and I think that's why I still don't gain much weight because I ate those lemons like crazy. But anyways, every lunch break I would go to my dad's house and we would eat and have those lemons. And he loved to lie on his tummy, and then I would walk on his back to massage him. So yeah, I would say that one. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you for the questions. Thank you for the questions. I think there's another one just like to close the questions part, right? Because it makes me feel like now I'm gonna be all over the place. The last one is, how do you keep your body looking so good, clean and healthy? I blame those lemons. I blame those lemons. So here's the thing. As I mentioned that with my whole journey of life is that I've always treated the symptoms more than I should have treated the root problems. And one of those things, there was a time where I I grew up skinny. I can put it that way. It was something that I was also teased about throughout my schooling years. I'm surprised that even in grade 12, I was pissed off. I was pissed off my skinniness, but it's something that like I didn't accept about myself. And there was a time that like where I was just on the gym just to put on weight, just to gain weight. And it got to a point like, yeah, I did put on weight and look good and all that, but still there was no fulfillment, there was no contentment, right? So, but to come back to your question, this past year, I haven't been to a gym, not a single day. And what I've been doing is to drink more water. I try to get to 2 liters a day and I eat as clean as much as I can. Like I eat mostly home cooked meals and then it's here and there that I eat takeout. So I think that that plays an effect and those lemons that I had so much of as a child. So yeah, it's all of those things. To close it off, I want to share a story that I came across on I think this past week about a boy that was at the shore in the very mornings and he was picking up these fishes and throwing them back at sea. And then there's this old man that came by and was seeing him doing this, and there were so many starfishes right at shore. And then he asked him, like, what are you doing? And then he says, the tides are high now, so I'm trying to save these starfishes before the sun rises and the tides goes down. So I'm throwing them back at sea. It was like, but there's so many starfishes, like you're not gonna get all of them. So what's the point, right? And then the boy just looked at him and then he bent down and picked up yet another one and threw it back into the ocean. And then he said to the man, I I made a difference to that one. And then he carried on and throwing them back in. So what I picked up from that story is that as much as we may be faced with challenges that we feel like we can't get out of, they are so overwhelming in your life right now, wherever you are, take it one day at a time. As as you can see, like with the story, that one starfish that this boy threw back in, it didn't like come across as something big at the time, right? And in things that you do as well, with the work that you get to do in a day, it's not gonna show as as something huge into the problem compared to the problem that you have. But if you like take that one step at a time, one day at a time, at some point everything is gonna come in together, and all those small differences that you have been making, all those day-to-day changes that you've been making to transform your life or to overcome the challenges that you're facing now, they will come together into something huge that you're going to be able to look back at and be like, I did that. So with that, with so much love from Steve, see you from the next episode. I cannot wait.